Morning everyone, Jeremy here from Flatware Creations. Today we are going to be making bud vases like so. This one here I got a little warm and the solder ran all over the place, so I have to take it apart today. I can still use this and I could use this again. It'll just take me some time and I don't have time to clean that up today. So this is just going to go off in to the side so where I can clean it up. But we have a whole bunch of these to make today. So I am using a new microphone. Bink, right there. Finally got here. So please let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me okay. On my board, it shows my audio seems to be high, but I'm generally soft spoken, so I tried to do some clapping tests to see if it dulled it down. I think it's going to be okay from the testing I did, but I'd like to know from you guys what you think. My head's all cut off here, and the autofocus is being weird today. Hi, I'm back. Not fuzzy. So this time all I've done is put the spoons. They've been whole. I didn't flatten them first or anything. I just tossed them all in the tumbler. So I have lots of different spoons. Somewhere, I think I had 80 something in the tumbler this time, at the same time, in my Frankfurt Arsenal tumbler. I think I have a picture on my phone. Actually, I do have a picture on my phone. That was all in at the same time. They all came out great. Whenever you do that though, you need to take them out and dry them off. So I always put them on a towel, but if you dry them off, they come out nice and clean like this. Sometimes you miss a spot and they'll have like this dirty tarnish mark there. It's just a water stain. It's all nice and shiny. Okay, so also in this box, I'll put those over there. There was a bunch, actually, here. Actually, so in this box, so because I have the microphone now, I don't have my my mouse, so I'm gonna get it to focus here where I want it, and I have to keep trying to shut off the focus. So we're focused right there, so autofocus is off. So some of these already have the nice tops like we want. Some of them come crimped like this. We have to cut that crimp off before we can finish these pieces. So I forgot they were in the box, So today I'm going to show you how I do that also. Hi Donna. Great, I'm glad this sounds good. I have to keep remembering to look up also. So we're going to separate these. Is the clinging of the silverware too loud? So generally, whenever I get all of these done off the knife handles, I'll come in and I'll cut these right off. That way I'm finishing everything at the same time. But I had to get these done quickly, so I skipped a step. So my tumbler has just a, let's see, turn the focus back on. It still looks fuzzy. All right, so my tumbler has just like a baking clock, just a little dial that tick 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 tick. It has I can tumble for up to 3 hours. So normally I'll be in here in the shop. I just set it for 3 hours to let it go, and all I use is Dawn dish soap. So the blue Dawn for the knife handles. These I will put in for an hour, completely full. I'll leave like that much air in my container. So I want to get as much water in there as possible. And then whenever I set the tumble, I'll tumble them for an hour, and then I'll dump out all of the black water. And if they come out kind of clean, sometimes I don't have this problem too much anymore, but sometimes they'll come out black and kind of greasy. So what I'll do is I always tumble them a second time. I just dump out the water, put in new clean water. I don't dump everything out and clean the shot or anything. I dump out as much of the water as I can get out without the stuff coming out. Fill it back up with hot water, put a big old squirt of Dawn dish soap in there, and I set it for 3 hours. I come back here in the shop and I work, and then later on I don't hear the tumbler anymore, and I go look at it. I dump out the black water again, and generally they come out just like this, just nice and shiny. When I have had problems in the past, I just put more Dawn in there because it's a grease film, it's an oil film that gets on there. So the Dawn obviously cuts that grease and that oil, and it all just comes out in the water. And with the Frankfurt Arsenal tumbler, I've spoken to them, and they've said that the Dawn isn't going to hurt the walls of the tumbler. And I know that the tumbler walls are rubberized, so they should be breaking down. But as many pieces as I've tumbled, the thousands and thousands of pieces that I've tumbled that have saved me so much time, I don't feel bad if I'm ever gonna have to buy another barrel. But I've seen no degradation in it at all. I run forks through there, and they get stuck in the walls. They get, so I know that the walls are getting stuck and pierced and opened in sections. I don't really even feel it on the inside. So I'm gonna keep using the Dawn. I mean, it works. When in doubt, use more. So that's all I do to get this shine. Okay, so these guys are going to go back in here. All right, so here's where we're at. So this is what we're going to be making. The way that the spoons are on these, so there's a couple different ways to do these. This way, with the handle pointed out to where you get the pattern. Actually, that one has no pattern. I know there's another one here. Here's one. So this one has a pattern on it. This is probably the easiest bending to do to get these. So, but the way that my customer likes them is this way, with the handle pointed this way. You kind of get the pattern underneath, but this is the way that they sell for them, and this is the way that the customer wants them. So I'm making them this way. These things are slippery today. They also don't like the short ones, so I'll be making those another time. Today we're making full length or medium length, but I'll show you how to do both bends today. I'll be using my 3D bender press, and we'll be flattening the spoons, and then we'll bend them, and we will have to do some I don't know what to call it, flushing, I guess, whenever we get the auto zoom back on here. How this sits, I think I've pretty much done all of these. Nope. Okay, so this one here, let me try and bring you down here. Okay, I'm gonna shut off auto zoom. Okay, so see how that's sitting? That's not going to be very good and stable. This is what we want. Nice and stable, doesn't move around. So the editing part. All right, so here's going to be our first test of the new microphone. Please let me know if this is too loud. So we're close. because this is my top side, I don't want to hammer this side. That's why I'm hammering on the bottom. There's little high spots here. I just want to kind of nudge those into place. So another hammer, it's got a rubberized end. You can kind of see there's a high spot right here. Come on. So I don't have, actually I do have my leather. So the leather allows me to dimple it actually down. And I'll take this to flatten it out. That's a lot better. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to mute you when I turn on the bandsaw. Clear my spot here. I've just recently wrapped it in plastic to try and get all of the shavings and things to kind of protect it. Let me cover up my pickle pot here. I just got a little bag. All right. Forgot to do that before I started. Sorry, guys. Okay, that's protected. So, this is my working bench. It is a mess. All right, I have to get used to moving the microphone cord, making sure it doesn't get caught up in the wheels. I'm gonna switch that light to over here. I'll take this down so you guys don't have to fight so much with that. I'm using these pliers here. I cut the tips off. They're just automotive pliers. I forget the name of them. I think some people call them Nipex or something. They're something ring pliers. They're for like little washers and things. So I just use this to get the pieces out of my way because they are hot. So I'm going to bring you guys up and hopefully over here. That spot's not going to work. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute you and get these all cut. keep reaching for my mouse and I don't have my mouse. I do need to get this reset. Okay. So from here we're going to go to the my 1-inch belt sander. You probably noticed I turned one of these guys around and I cut off this piece. So I didn't notice until I was getting ready to cut it that has a big dent, like somebody tried to smash it. So what I did was I turned it around and hi Gus. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Good morning, Gus. Camera kisses. Hi. Okay, you said hi. I gotta get to work. I gotta get to work, buddy. Go bug grandma. Welcome back. Okay. There, I guess. So what I did with this was I flipped it around and I cut the head off of it. This still allows me to keep the stem, and I'm going to put it on. You're in the way, Gus. I'm going to stand it up like this. Oh, you're over here. So it still gives me my bud vase, but I don't get that piece on there. Hi, Gus. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sand these pieces and come on, buddy. Okay. We'll get them flush, and I was thinking about it. More volume. How that should be. How's that? Is that better? Right here. Is that okay? Good. Your knee. Camera. More Gus kisses. Okay, awesome. All right, so we're going to get these sanded up so they're all ready to go, and then we'll be able to focus on our spoons. So time to adjust again. Come on, buddy. Okay, so we're gonna bring the sander to us. I was thinking about it mid-process, and I'm like, would I want to listen to dead sound, silence? So I turned the microphone back on. I just turned it way down. Okay, Gus, you're not going to want to be in here for this next part. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I will actually get you guys zoomed in here. Hello, Gus's butt. autofocus shut off. Okay. So I'll be flipping this over from this side, flip it over to this side until I get a nice flush surface, so it doesn't look all jagged from the blade. We get you guys turned down. Okay. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to show you guys, or let you guys be aware of, is when I'm here, sometimes because of the way that the silverware is shaped, it wants to rock. So if you put this on here and you're holding down on it, the front comes up. But if you only push on the front of it, you're only getting like half sometimes of the silverware. So you flip it over and you go to that side. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the belt to start getting really close to this. That way I know that I've got a nice clean edge. And then whenever I take off the little burr that's on there from cutting, make sure you point it down at just enough of an angle to get that lip. There's just barely a lip on here. You don't want to go too much this way because you'll start scratching here. Never go up because this belt is going down. It's coming this way. So if you push up, this is going to catch and it can fly out of your hand, fly across the room. I've had them get stuck down in here sometimes with some smaller pieces. So just make sure you're not pointing anything up whenever you're sanding. Always try and go down at an angle or flat, but don't go up. Same thing with the buffer. The wheels are spinning towards you. They're coming this way, so you don't want to go up. You want to go down. All right, we are done sanding. We'll just get that gone. Ah! You don't want to see me. Or my arm. All right, focus back on. We'll get the zoom gone. It's hard doing this without having my mouse. Okay, let's get this light twisted around here a little bit. All right, so now we're on to spoons. Oh, and you probably saw me taking these guys, cutting these little pieces off here. These will become birdhouses, other pendants, tons of other things. Same with this guy. Just because it has that dent, I'm going to try and poke that dent out to see if I can make this into a bell. If not, you can cut these apart long ways, and this would make a great pair of earrings. If you guys can see that, there we go. But for now, we'll put these guys up here, get them out of the way. Get the tumbler out of the way. And we're going to come down to the vise. Not the vise, but the press. So on my vise, I've taken and I'm going to turn the volume up just a little bit. Okay, let's see how that is. That looks better. I've taken the handle and really beefed it up so my fingers don't even curl around it now. That just gives me less fatigue in my hand. I've also taken and put this eye bolt back here so the handle only goes back so far. That gives me an easy reach to pull it down. So we'll get you focused in here into the business end of this. Get you zoomed in. All right, so what I have here is a stainless steel block that I got from our machinist just up the road. This was just a piece of scrap that he had. This is the block that comes with the 3D press. This is the first time I ever used this the other day. But what we're gonna do is, I'm using this one. It's just a little bit bigger. It gives me some more length, if that makes sense. So I have more space on here to work. That's going to allow me to put my spoon on there and not have it come over the edge if possible. So I've got my piece in. My tip isn't going over the end here, but you'll see one pop. So this is the first, I call it the pop. This creates a dimple. The spoon isn't flat yet, and you can kind of see the tip here wanting to go this way. So after I get that first bump, I'm going to pull the spoon back a little bit to where I get that tip under there, and I'll just bring it down and flatten it out. I'm going to slide it in to where this round part goes around the back side. This part here of the spoon, back here. And that's my second drop. I'll take this and I'm just going to pull it down. We're going to bend it later anyways, but that gets us a pretty flat surface. We will have to kind of tap on it a little bit to get it to sit right, but it's so much easier than pounding away at it for a long time. So we only have to do this a few more times. Are you still there, Donna? So see how this spoon rippled? Sometimes they'll do that. That will come out hammering it out. I wasn't sure how long you had, Donna. So do you want to see me finish one? Okay. All right, so we'll start with this one. I'm going to unzoom you. We'll get set up over here. That pile's going to take me a while to do. Oh, autofocus back on here. So, actually we still have to be over there. Sorry. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we have our spoon. I've been using the mini pin. I've started to switch to this size, but you can go any size you want. I put it in the medium side, or not medium, but the lowest spot. And I'm going to start face down here. So I want the pattern down. I'm just going to bring it over. I mean, and this part, you can adjust per piece. I'm just trying to get a hook on here. Then we're going to flip it over this way. And my spoon is actually hitting the back here. I can't move this. Yeah. The spoon is actually hitting the back. So I'm not able to get this part of my spoon all the way forward. So what I'm doing to fix that is I'm going to put a little pressure that gives me a little bend, and I can push it forward a little bit. So after I get this bend, the easiest way to do it is to get this and just kind of hammer it up a little bit. That's going to get you a bigger bend. Then I bring it back and I want to put my bar right about here. With some silverware, you need to be careful because they'll crack if it's too thin. So what we're end up with right now is this. Actually, did I go the wrong way? I did go the wrong way. My memory is so bad. So we're here. All right. So this needs to be upside down. And we're going to bend it in the same spot. That's wrong. No, it's not. It's right. Okay. Once you get this bend, what I do is I just kind of cup my hand here. I'll put my finger in this piece right here, and I'm just going to take the palm of my other hand and I'm just going to lay it over and then bring it forward. That gets the rest of our bend. It makes it easier on this corner right here doing that, because it has some support from your finger, and generally you can feel it if it's going to start to crack, so you know you can definitely stop before. So this one here, I want this to go back a little bit more. So I'm going to take my pliers again, and using leverage, I'm going to put one in here, one back here, and I'm just going to let the tool do the work. This is a thick handle, so it's going to take a couple hands. You might be able to get it back in the press. and sometimes you just kind of have to improvise. Here we go. So we got it back a little bit. So I like that shape better. So we're going to go with that. All right, now we can come over here. I'll bring you down here. All right. So we're wobbly again. Okay, so we're going to fix this first. Let's get this over here. We're going to grab our small hammer. So underneath here, because this is our bottom, kind of see how it kind of tips up. I'm just going to take some of that out. Was that tapping too loud? Okay, so we have, this is my fire brick that I just cut in half. And I'll use this guy here. This is a third hand. It came on this guy, which this I normally lock into the vise when I have to do things, but I've simplified it down to just this one arm. Okay, that's good. So I don't have to keep adjusting the mic for that. So loosen up my vise here a little bit. I'm just going to clamp this in here. Because it's plastic, I don't want to clamp it too hard, but at the same time, I don't want it to move. So we're going to bring this up this way. I need a pair of tweezers. They clamp shut. Let's see, let's do yeah, this one should be good. Okay, so here's what I do for this. I take my tweezers and I just slide them right in. What I'll do now, I can't really get you back any further. What I do now is I clip them in here, and I'm going to push this down a little bit lower than my block, and I'm just going to lift up just enough to get it on there. That's putting downward pressure. Okay, so I'm looking at it this way and it's straight. I want to look back here and see that it's straight also. So I try and line up the spine to go up. They're not all perfect. Welcome back, Gus. You shouldn't eat plastic, buddy. No plastic. Okay, so now that we have this, I have a coffee cup of water to quench this in. I'm going to take my torch. This is just a plumber's torch I got from Lowe's. The striker works sometimes. Most of the time I just use my lighter. I'll be using this guy today. Where'd I put those batteries? So this is a little striker. And the other thing you'll need is a little spray bottle to quench it. And obviously you need some solder. So this is rosin core solder. It is 97.3 lead free. And what we're going to do with this, we're not cutting anything off, we're just going to sweat solder this. Once this gets hot, anywhere you touch the solder to will melt the solder, and then you have a mess to clean up, like on the one I showed earlier, like this guy here. This little black spot is from solder and flux. So we don't want that. So whenever you touch this to here, you want to make sure that you're putting it preferably on the silverware first, but like right at the base. And you don't want to push too hard that it moves. You just want to kind of touch it and just let it melt. Just let it kind of melt in. Here's my water. Okay, so we're squared. Everything looks good. Get our torch started. So this is almost out of propane, so it might fizzle out here a little bit. So mostly I'm just heating the bottom right now. I'm gonna come around to the back side. Be careful here, you don't want to burn yourself. So you can see how the solder took off there. Let me zoom you guys in. So I just let the solder go in there. I'm going to come up here. And I'm just heating this spot right here. So kind of touch that there. Let's give it a little bit more. And we're done. Spray it real lightly. If you move this too soon, it will come apart on you. And it is a pain to put back together, and you have to fight with the solder. So now I just pull this up, dip the whole thing in my little bucket of water here. Okay. So next we'll just check our solder joints. So I'm twisting back and forth, and this is a good join. We have nice clean edges. Let me get it to focus here. We have a nice clean solder join around. Hi Gus. And then up here we have just enough solder. Remember, solder doesn't fill gaps, but in this case it kind of does because there is a gap there. So I put in just enough to make sure that this is sealed from the top to the bottom. It doesn't probably need so much of that, but I really want nothing to go wrong. And the final test is it goes in the tumbler. Oops. Okay. Once it goes into the tumbler, then everything tumbles around and it gets all twisted, and that's the real test of tearing it apart, checking to see how much it's really going to be able to take. I have had a couple of them come apart in the tumbler, and then I clean them up and resolder them. But for the most part, if you give it just that little bit extra, not enough to where it flows out, but just so you can see a nice seam, you're going to be good for that. And then the tumbler and the Dawn takes care of the rest. For the ones that we soldered, or not soldered, for the ones that we sanded, this edge here, let me see if I can get it to focus. So this edge, this edge right here is going to get worn down in the tumble. So this is kind of rough on the inside, but once it comes out of the tumbler, it won't be. So let me fix this. Generally, whenever I cut these off, I'll cut them off in the bandsaw, and then they go into the tumbler. So whenever I get all my knives done, I try and do as many as possible. All of this gets cleaned up. Actually, I got some right here. These guys are nice and smooth, shiny, rounded off, and that's just from being in the tumbler. So they're going, you can kind of see the difference here. But if you do that step, you have everything ready, all your mise en place, and you'll be set. So I hope that camera, I see myself right here. So it's fairly simple. And if you are using your anvil, make sure you wipe it down after, because once this gets wet, it will start to rust. So every once in a while, I'll take some oil and put on it. All right, so I hope that helps, Donna. Now I'm gonna get to getting the rest of these spoons flattened. Let's see if I can clean up my space here. I need to keep all of these separate so I don't have to make, because these they don't want. You too. I hope the weather's nice for you. Thank you, Mary. I've had a little practice. I think normally when I do the order for this customer, they're 50 at a time. Because we are stopping doing these mass orders and things, she wanted one last batch of everything I have. No snow yet. We had, I think it's actually snowing a little bit right now, but like just barely. Yeah, it's just barely coming down. Okay, so those guys are not in the mix. I still have more knives to take apart. Hi, Norma. Normally we have like a foot or two of snow right now. This is the first time I haven't seen, or I've seen my grass in winter. Yeah, we're Eastern time here. I think that's what that says. Sorry, the autofocus is irritating me now. Yeah, so this is one last big batch, and then I'm going to be starting more specialized single projects and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm going back to getting these spoons flattened. So I will try and keep talking. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll keep trying to look up and make sure that I don't miss anyone. But I'm gonna get the camera set up so you guys can see what I'm doing. Get you guys zoomed in here. Okay. That actually looks okay with the light on that side, so we'll keep it there. Get all that back there. Spoons here. Okay. I'm doing okay. Today's a good day. Back's not hurting. Weather's not too bad. So this is a big tablespoon. You really want to be careful with these because they don't fit on here. So if you flatten this out even to the first drop, you're going to get this piece here will fold over, and then what you're left with is this crease now dented into You have a great day too, Mary. Thanks for stopping by. So what I'll do here is I'll start more in the middle. I'll start with it here. I'll put my dimple here and then just kind of work it back and forth. So we end up with just barely a dimple at all. It looks worse than it is. The spoon is nice and flat. We didn't get that cut mark in here from the seam. I used to use this guy and just beat on my vise, hammering these guys down. This has been so much better. I think if I was going to get a block, I would want it square and at probably about 4 inches. Yeah, so this is about 4 inches here actually. It's 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches would even work just in a rectangle. Then I wouldn't have to worry about that at all. Some of these, especially this pattern here, These bend super easy. So as you're bending this, you want to be careful, not so much with the spoon part, but whenever you're bringing the handle down to get it level. I have just had them pop right off from going too fast. This is one of the hardest shapes to really flatten. This is kind of a cross between a tablespoon and a round soup spoon. It's a lot wider than your other spoon. I guess this one isn't. But generally, these are a little bit harder to get flat. And then you just kind of go to Zen mode. Put on some good music. You can just start getting this going. If you look at the bottom, whoa, that's hard. It's not steel. That spoon bowl was hard. On the small screen, you can see right here where actually, let me just bring you over back here a little bit. So when I come down, you can kind of see where my power is here. My arm is here, and this is the end of my bend. This is the bottom. My elbow is nice and tight to my body, and it stops about shoulder height, which allows me to have that power. You're not out of whack or way down here. The only thing that's moving is my elbow, and because of that, it makes this more ergonomically correct, or OSHA correct. But it really helps when you're doing so many different pieces at a time. You don't want to get that fatigue. That is a hard spoon bowl. Yeah, it took me a while to figure that part out. Really where to get the most compression. I do have another video on the block. On how I set up the bar here to where it where I can get the most amount of force with the least amount of effort. I have one for stamping using the new 3D press here. On top it has, or on the other end, it has this piece that holds my stamps. So I can just put my stamp in, flip the bar over, and start stamping. And normally whenever I get set to do something, I'm doing a lot of it. So when I get set to start stamping, I'm probably stamping for a few hours. And because of that, you don't want to have to use more effort than you need to. And like everything, practice makes perfect. So the ones that have a round back, like that's not a good example of one. At the end, I'll go back and just kind of flatten it out. It's a hard one too. So like this one has a little curve to it, and I can feel it whenever I go to put it away or put it out of the way. So this line right here, it is from the 3D press. This is rounded off, but I went too deep on my bend and it ended up leaving that impression. Let me get you zoomed in here. Hopefully that's a little better for you. But because I went down here so hard and then I went back, it left me with two lines. So we'll have to see how that one turns out. If your spoon isn't going to go over the edge, I would keep the press all the way back on this back edge and flatten it all the way down. Because that's going to leave you with the least amount of marks. This is, even though it takes some more strength at one point, it's still come on, focus in. Come on, camera. Okay. It's still easier than pounding away on these things. We're almost there, a little over halfway. Awesome, thank you, Norma. So our channel's going to be taking a little different direction. I have a, thank you. I have a list of things that people have wanted us to make from the last 5 years of shows. So I'm going to be doing videos on figuring out all of those little projects. Some of them won't be so bad, but I think it'll be fun to kind of investigate those. Kind of like whenever the forkaroo came along, somebody asked if I could make a kangaroo. I hadn't ever even thought about making a kangaroo, and it took me a little bit, but I figured it out, and I was able to draw it and be able to pull a forkaroo out of a fork. So we'll have projects like that. This is that pattern that was so hard. It's just got a V here with a couple dots in it, or dashes in it. So I'm looking forward to those. And I'm going to be trying to edit some of the videos. I'll still do some lives, but some of the projects that I have, I'll just be doing the videos for editing and then posting the finished video, just a short something. The lives always goes long because it's live. It takes time to do this stuff. The last set, if you look at the playlist for special order, those two pendants out of sterling took me about 12 hours of work. Should it have taken me 12 hours? Eventually not. But right now I'm learning. So it takes time to learn things. I think I remade the pendants probably 3 times each. But it's all learning experience, and I can probably do another one in a couple of hours. But you only get that experience by doing it, and we gotta learn. Oh. I can't believe how hard that spoon bowl is. I think that's the last one of those. Okay, I think we have 5 more left. I forgot about the tablespoons I set aside. Last teaspoon. And the whiter block would be nice for the tablespoons too. So this is nice and flat, no big dimple, no ring marks from either the press or the block underneath. And I'm just kind of working it and feeling it out. Once I start to see this end bend, see if I can make that so you guys can see it. So watch, right? Let me see if that will focus. Oh. I don't want the cat box. So if you watch right here, see how it started tilting down? Just gonna move it back a little bit. Let that flatten down, but you see it's kind of poking down back here. Bump it forward. Going a little bit until it starts to bend here. Back towards the middle. Front's going good, so we'll come back here to the back until it starts to bend down. Let's go ahead and finish out the front. Now we can go all the way to the back. And what we're left with is a nice mark-free mark-free spoon. All right, 2 left. Alright, we're done with that. Let me get you zoomed out here, turn the autofocus back on. Whew. Now we have a big pile of spoons that we need to get back. Why isn't it focusing? I don't even know if I keep getting ahead of myself. Get my zoom fixed right there, or focus. Nice. My phone's going off like crazy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make our bends. Going back to this medium. First, I have to adjust this. If you look, whenever I put my block down, you can watch it come towards you. So it's pushing towards you. That's because this is loose, left and right. To fix that, you adjust this screw. And then you have this set bolt here. I also noticed we have a wobble this way. So we'll just tilt that in a little bit. You don't want it tight because it still needs to be able to slide. So now there we go, we're nice and straight. Okay. So right now what I'm going to be doing with the spoon is, let me get you back down here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be taking it from just a straight spoon and I'm going to make these bends. So it generally takes me a couple of these to get before I really get in my groove. But I know pattern side starts down and I'm just going to make like a candy cane. I'm just using my thumb to press up. So there I have my bend. Next, I'm going to push my spoon all the way in until it hits the back. Bend it and push it in a little bit. So I constantly have pressure here going this direction. Grab my hammer. Flip it over. Let me just double check that. So after those two bends, I have this part. Now I need to make this bend. which I did have it right. It always looks weird though. I'm used to working on the top of the pattern and not the bottom. So whenever I see the words, for me, it's normally, oh no, something's wrong. So we'll get it here. I'm gonna put the mandrel right here. And I'm looking for it to be straight here also. Sometimes it will get kind of twisted. You can take and put this, just twist it a little bit, and you can kind of see how far out. Let's see if I can get it. So this is dead center, but you can kind of see how this is pointed off towards this direction. So we'll put this back in here. So I want it to go this way. I'm going to turn it this way here. Just put it in there, give it a little squeeze, and that should bring it back to square. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to push this right into my palm. I'm going to take my index finger, put it under here, or in right against the spoon, and I'm just going to take this palm, push right down on it. And there we go. So right now this is just going to get tossed over here, and we'll go to the next one. Pattern down. If you can't, if the silver is too hard for you to push with your thumb, you can hold down with your left hand. Hold down with your left hand. That gives you room with your right hand to tilt this up. Make sure you hit it at the bottom though. So now we're at this point. Same thing again, I switch hands. I'm holding down with my left hand and I'm tapping that up. Make sure it's straight here. Did it right the first time? Nope. There we go. You can, if you don't have the strength in your hands to push and close this up, you can use your mini pin, put it in there, and you can use that to push this over. You do get a bigger bend here. So there's the two bends. This one here with the sharper bend. This one I did with my hand. This one was using my mini pin. So they will both work. And with the mini pin, if you have to and you really can't bend it, you can hit it also to get it to go where you need to, depending on how hard the silverware is. I was using 2 pins for the longest time and just switching out. Thank you. I was switching out with the 2 pins, but I found that I could do everything with just this one pin. And then you just get into production mode. And so I watched the head of this twist that way. So if you see this twisted, so my spoon is straight, but this is twisted. So I'm just going to take these, I'm just going to twist it over a little bit more. Not putting any marks on it or squeezing it really hard. That gets me straightened back out. And for my OCD purposes, being able to replicate things the same way each time has really helped me be able to get fast at things. See, it just twisted on me again. Before I squeeze this one down, I want to make sure this one here is going to sit flat. So it's not, but if I kept bending this, I'm not going to be able to get the hammer in here to get that flat. So this one, I'm not going to bend fully forward. This is probably one of my favorite patterns to bend, the Queen Bess 2. It's just a nice, comfortable thickness. The softness is nice. The other thing, so these blocks are consumables. That means as time, you're going to notice that they just get wore out and broken down and pieces chunked out of them. So you have to keep moving pieces or switching spots. But it's important whenever you're making your first bend that the tip of your spoon gets to the other side. So this part right here, where this ledge is, you want your spoon to be there. If you put it inside, it's just gonna keep sliding out. So for your first bend, make sure you get it over that, not just enough to make it catch. So you can see it caught there. Now that I have that first bend, I can take this, bring it up, and get this nice and round. And if you want more, just keep tipping it up. If it won't, let me get this piece. So there's a couple ways. You could, at this point, hammer it down. Or, yeah, it's still too far. You can get it into a position to where you can hammer it over the mandrel. Like this one's too short for that, but if you got it on your block, you could hammer this more round. Sometimes flipping it backwards, you'll have enough room. Like there, I had enough room with the spoon bowl not touching anything. See how much that curves now? There we go. Same thing over and over and over and over. I like it. My OCD actually likes the satisfaction, I guess, of things being the same. Even though everything you make is different, it's still one of the things that you can control. And you want these to be lined up the best that you can, because it's harder once you get away from the press to do this over at your station. So this one is a lot thicker handle, so you're going to want more going over. So I'm holding it with my left hand again, pushing with my right thumb. See how it's not really moving where I want it? And then you beat it into submission. You don't want to go. Some of the patterns you have to be careful though, because the tips are kind of fragile. And you don't want those to break off on you. From this angle that I have, I'm looking, and this is pointed off a little bit. I can take this and just a little bit of pressure, make it really straight. This bend in. There's so many different configurations that you can do here. See, this one does not want to spin. So as much force as I could get it to move. If you can't get it to move, you can put it on your anvil and you can hammer it down where you want it to. But I think that's good enough. We got it to bend there a little bit. It is a lot of fun to get to play around and experiment with things and find something that you haven't seen somewhere. Those are always fun days, trying to design something. All I know about this piece of silverware, it is hard. So over time, your block is going to start sliding on you. Just keep an eye on it. The straighter that you can keep this, the better. I kind of like this, pushing it up there. Gives me a little bit more flexibility. I don't know if I'm getting weak or what, but these are getting harder. This is a thicker one, so I could barely get it to bend. So I'm gonna hammer it. Remember to try and hit it low. This is one of those soft patterns. Can you guys still hear me okay? Felt like my bolt started to loosen up. It's getting more wiggle. this. Normally I have a clamp on the back, but it decided to die. That saves quite a bit of time actually, adjusting it like that. Make sure you're taking it easy on your fingers. If pushing on it with your thumb starts to hurt, you don't want to do that. Try and use some other item or some way to get more leverage, or just hammer them all. Sounds like somebody's listening to opera. Is it Phantom of the Opera? Or is it... I can't tell. Not that I listen to a lot of opera. Yeah, I like this method better. It's just a small tweak. It's just a small little change. But I can already feel it turning out better. Oops. Forgot to bend this one. I like it. Get a nice shape. Consistent. I remember why I had that screwed in the other day. So this little screw comes with this, and it will hold your pin in place. And because this doesn't go all the way over, you don't want to lose any on the back side here. And I'm running it out to the end to try and get the spoon bolt to miss this. So it's missing this piece, which is giving me another 1/4 to 1/2 inch. There we go. where do I see my stats? Okay. So this one is really thick, hard to bend. And you can see hammering it put a big bend in it. Fortunately, we were going to bend it there anyways. Awesome. I do really like, I'm glad I found that out, but when I make some in the future like this, it will be a lot easier. It probably only saves a couple of seconds, but when you're doing a ton of these like this, that couple of seconds can really make a difference. So this one I'm going to try a trick. I'm going a little bit further up the handle so I can get a bend started. Then I'll bring it back, and that should allow me to seat that. So I'm very excited about the new format coming up. Still going to be doing the instructional videos like this. And we'll be taking requests. So if there's something that you guys want to see if we can work through it and make it. That'd be fun too. Do-do-dee-lee-dee. Let me see. Okay. So much easier. Oh, it's snowing out now. So I think we're about halfway. I do have some more knives that I need to take apart. That won't be today though. Running out of room over there. So we'll see how many we can fit in the tumbler. Another hard one. Oh, forgot to bend it up. When I'm trying to, or I just kind of get into making mode, I start thinking about other things and I miss steps. I've put bracelets together wrong before from talking. It does take some focus to really get in a rhythm. Are you guys just hanging out today? Thanks for stopping by. Oh. So I'm putting this in here at an angle, sorry. So my spoon is going this direction. That's going to allow me to push down and bring this back to square. I've always liked this pattern. It reminds me of the Harley Davidson insignia. Oh, here we got a big one. There are some spoons that just do not like to bend. So for those, you just kind of have to get them to work out the best that you can. So this one, the tablespoon is actually hitting the back here. So I'm gonna put it in the big bar and we'll get a bend just started. Flip it backwards. And we're going to bend that whenever we come back to this side. So this one, I'm not going all the way to the bottom. So right here, if you imagine a straight line going down from your hammer, a straight line going down, that's the direction that you want to hit. So this is going to make this piece here bend the way we want it to. So a little bit of pressure here. So each one of those thumbs, I was pointed right at that mark, and that allowed us to bend back nice and even. We're going to bump it forward a little bit. There we go. So I do know that I have a lamp that I want to make. I have all the parts finally. I have the perfect lamp, or perfect pot for it. I've done lots of electrical work, so I'm not concerned about that. It'll be a fun project to do though. I'm not going to be making a lot of them. But it's definitely going to be fun. It's another tablespoon. So I'm trying to do that little trick to where I can get this to bend around. We got a nice curve. Again, coming right. Awesome. You'll see I switch my hand a lot, especially down here in the bottom, whoop, the bottom corner. It gives me a lot more leverage, and because of where the handle is, it keeps my hand out of the way, and again, it's not hurting my shoulders or my hand because everything is in line. So whenever I switch, when I switch hands, everything is still nice and tight, and I'm able to do my work here. So I'll ask on here, what do you guys think should be something that I try and make that you guys want to see? I can see my bench again. This is a soft one. So I've got my headphones on, and I'm listening to music, but every once in a while I start to hear somebody singing. I don't know if you guys can hear it in the back or not. Probably if I can hear it. All right, so teaspoon, tablespoon, we're gonna bend it here. That's a nice sound. All right, so once we get done with these, then we will fine tune each one. Just to make sure that it's sitting flat. We'll probably actually just tune them as we go. So for sake of time, how long are we right now? 2.5 hours. I might have to take a break, stand up for a minute. Maybe eat lunch. What time is it? 2:30. So we're making bud vases. I'm bending the handles right now. So these are all teaspoons. I do have a couple of tablespoons. That one went a little bit farther than I wanted it to, but it looks like it'll work out okay. So next we'll put our bud vases on there. And we'll find out which one fits each one's kind of character the best. There's a bunch of different ways to bend these handles. My customer for these likes it done this way, this shape anyways. This is just how I've simplified it for myself. So I'm doing the pattern going down. So this is the second pin, third. I don't know which pin this is anymore. So it comes with the main pin, the 3D press system, and mine came with these 3 other pins. I know she has a few different models now. but this is one of the smaller ones. I've used the mini pin before, I've used the big pin before. It's just whatever you feel looks right for you and feels right. I've got a big old stack of those things. This is definitely the most amount of bud vases that I've had on my bench at one time. All right, let's see. I think I might be able to count them now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 maybe? Oh, that's a hard one. So my hammering it is just to adjust it, to get it centered. So my thumb's starting to get tired. There we go. Get it nice and straight. I know for sure that I cannot fit all of these in the tumbler at one time. I know that I've had at least 50 at one time. There's a balance that I need to find between the point where it's too full that the stuff isn't getting polished and cleaned, and to where I could have put just a couple more in. And if it doesn't fit or it doesn't do it right, I can just add that 1 or 2 back into the next batch to tumble. Hammer time. So tablespoon, I gotta flip around. That time I kind of changed the shape a little bit. I was hitting here. Well, first I got this bent back, and then I was hitting here to try and get this more over the center of the bowl, so we can put our vase right up against it. beat it into submission. There we go. Woo! Another tablespoon. You know what would be funny? Does anybody remember the game Barrel of Monkeys? I could probably make a pretty good strand of bud vases right now. All right. Thinking and talking isn't working out so much for me today. I keep forgetting steps. So I can't get you to my angle, but when I'm putting those last couple of taps onto the handle, what I'm doing, I think the direction for you, that is what I'm looking at. So what I'm trying to do is get this part here, the handle, backwards just a little bit. So I'll show you what that looks like. See how now you can see all of this right here? That's going to bring it back a little bit farther away from the vase. Are we down to single digits now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Woo! It's almost time to start soldering. Hopefully this is the last, yeah, this is the last one of these. But this pattern, man, it's so hard. And I checked it, it's not magnetic, so it's not steel. Just does not like to bend. So this is just the handle part and the base. I've only got a couple more left to do, and then we'll start putting on the actual vases, hopefully in just a couple of minutes. this handle is super thick. So I'm just straightening it out to where I can see it's looking straight. Let's see. Trying to get your guys' angle. So I want it to be straight down like that. That's going to help us line up the bud vase. And just makes everything more aesthetically pleasing. All right. 3 to go after this. Let's get a countdown. 3. That's good enough. Some of these are just so hard, you kind of gotta get what you get. It's pretty close. Ooh, an easy one. Number 2. I gotta make sure I keep looking at the comments. All right, last one. Woohoo, we made it. Thanks for hanging out with me. All right, here we go. All right. Get everybody back in their home. Little ring that I made. All right, everything there is done. Let's come back here. Let's get the autofocus turned back on while we're messing with this. Good morning. All right, so this is what we just did. I don't know if we can get you. This is a huge pile. And they go way back there. There is a lot. So I'm gonna move my, so this is my tumbler. My tumbling barrel from Frankfurt Arsenal. This is actually made for reloading bullets. So you put your brass part of your bullet in there, and then it all tumbles around, so it's got a big barrel. This is one I made earlier. So I think just to make this easier, I'm going to put them all over here, and then we'll count them. We'll count them as we're putting them in the tumbler. Focus. It's been weird. So I'm going to bring you down here to where we'll be working. Let's see if I can get this down where I want it. Get the autofocus shut off there so it stops trying to focus. Move the phone. Okay. So here's what I'm going to be using now. This is part of a third hand dealy whopper. So what I did was I took one arm off of it. I'm going to put it right here in the vise. The base is plastic, so I need to make sure they don't crush it too much. I have this little electric igniter here, and my little spray bottle. My tools put away here. I have these whatever these are called, I got these. You can use anything that will fit down on the inside of your hollow handled knife. So where can I put these? Oh, and you're going to want something to quench. For me, I have a coffee can. Make sure you guys have a good spot there. So I'm using rosin core solder. It's come on, focus. Come on, camera. Oh, I must have hit the button twice. Sorry about that. This is what I'm using. Rosin core 97.3, lead free. We're just going to be sweat soldering this. Okay, heavy focus there. All right, so we're going to be using this. I'm using a regular propane torch. So it's just a can I keep refilling, and just a regular small torch head that I got from Lowe's. You can get them at most hardware stores will have these. So we have this, water. You want to have a good soldering surface. This is a fire brick that I cut in half. So it's like this long. I cut it in half and it does great. Let me see where I can put these guys. Make sure I got my space here all cleaned off. Okay. I want to put these there when they're done so we can count them going in. So I'll just put a bunch of these here. Do you guys have any questions? These are all silver plate. Hide my water. Okay. So I do have my down here. I have my belt sander here. Some of these that come to a point on the bottom, I just take and I put a little sand mark on them. Just a little flat spot. It just helps the solder to have something to fill in against. So this is just a pile of stuff, so I'm just going to start grabbing them. Right. So this is the tuning part. Where'd my board go? So I have a piece of brown board here somewhere. Where'd it go? Do you guys have it? Okay, so I think, where'd I put the others? Not up there. So I use the brown board so that it doesn't hurt the metal or leave marks on the metal. I just had it. It has to be here. Do 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 dee. My corals are out. All right. So basically this is what my brown board is. It's really thin. I think it's a 4x8 sheet you get for, it's not a whole lot, like $10 to $15 I think at Lowe's. And I don't have my knife. Where is everything? So I'm just going to score this. In the hopes. I got a square. All right, so this is my brown board. So put it on here. What we're gonna do, let's bring this guy back here. We need this to sit flat whenever we put it down. And it looks like I got a piece of flashing here. So we definitely have a wobble. I'm going to be using this little guy here. It's got a brass head and a rubber head. Most of our work's all going to be upside down. So flip over to the rubber side. There we go. Okay. So we need one that's not super tall. That's okay. I'm taking my tweezers here. They're going to go all the way in. So inside here, you can kind of see there's some solder still left in there. Sometimes it will just pry out. So what I'll do is I'm going to put my tweezers on the side that doesn't have the solder, and I'm going to face it towards me. And we're going to torch it out of there. Well, we're going to torch it down. Okay. So for this part, come on. For this part, I'm going to bring it down and then just bring it up just enough to get it on top of my soldering block here. I didn't sand this one. Okay, so as long as you have downward pressure, the ones with the points, I always try and attach to the stem. So you really have to look at it from the back, a straight on view. So this guy, the handle part here, just needs to be twisted a little bit that way. And see how I moved this, but it didn't really move? We want to make sure that this actually has quite a bit of pressure on it. Okay, so straight up and down this way. Turn it a little bit. Make sure we're good here. All right, now we can solder this. Torch time. I'm going to be focusing my heat down here at the base and right here at the stem. So this is just regular propane. You want to make sure that your solder only touches either the piece of the knife handle or right at where they join. So we're almost there. And remember, solder travels towards the heat, so a lot of times I'll try and put it on the other side. You see I just bumped that? There we go. So I'm heating this part up. Okay, let me turn on my fan here. Just a light spray. Oh, I forgot about that part. So up here I still have that solder. I'm going to heat it up so that solder goes down. I can already tell this is going to be temperamental. So I'm trying this coffee can because I can put a lid on it. So we check our welds here, or our solder joints, and it looks good. Everything's nice and straight. So we do have a little bow here. Okay, one. Now we just repeat the process. Make sure it sits flat. This one's good. We'll go right to soldering. Bring that down. So that's straight that way, and that's pretty straight that way. So again, still heating the bottom. So almost there. Make sure you flood it just enough to get it all filled. A little water. Okay. Test the joins. Everything still looks straight. put a little grind on the bottom. So this is our next one. One looks pretty good. All right, get our block back. Get some down pressure on it. So this one is way off. But for this one, the center piece needs to come over. The nice part is this is one of the softest patterns. So I want to get it straight this way. Boom. And straight this way. All right, torch time. Again, I'm only focusing my heat down here on the bottom. I'll bring my torch around. Just kind of test it. You want to touch either the knife handle and the base at the same time. Anywhere you touch on the base, you're going to get solder and it's going to leave a mark that you have to clean up. So we don't want to do that. So I'm just heating this piece right here where they join. So this one here is rocking pretty far back. So we got to fix that. So I try and do all the work from underneath, so I'm not leaving marks up top. There we go. Get that so it makes some downward pressure. Looks good that way, looks good that way. All right. So normally what I would do is I'd get all these bent, go through and make sure that they're all flat. That way I could just solder. Do you guys have any questions? And normally I would just toss those right into there, but I want to count how many we can fit inside the tumbler. All right, next spoon. All right, we'll take it. Let's try a shorter one here. And I'm just barely putting a mark on there, just something for the solder to hold on to. Okay, so we're good that way. Tall that way. All right. Torch time. Woo! Not that much torch time. So I'm heating the base again, making sure, try and keep the most of your heat down here. Right before I solder, I'll put it to the back so that the solder flows towards the heat. Sometimes if you bump it, this will come apart. Just kind of tap it with your torch tip. Come on. There we go. So I'll heat this spot now. So you want to spray it soft at the first, so that otherwise it will actually spray and make the base look really nasty. So all of your clean solder joint is just going to look really bad. And you don't have to do this part here, but for me, I just like to have that extra security. Oh, I missed a step. There we go. So we just pull this up just enough. Okay, so we're good that way, and we're good that way. Make sure they're touching. Okay. Come on. So I'm using just rosin core solder. It's 97.3 lead free. I'm controlling the nozzle with my pinky right here. My propane's starting to get low. Can you guys still hear me with the fan on? flip this over. Actually, this one here, we'll use the rubber side. There we go, nice and flat. I almost had it right. That one was close. Looks good. Torch time. Doot doot dee dee dee. You can watch the solder draw towards the flame. Alright, so this is a really tall one. Oh no! We've got solder down there. So we're gonna have to heat this one up first. So I'm going to heat this up so that the solder goes to the bottom. We'll just check on this, and I don't want to heat it up too much to like darken it. I mean, it is going to go back through the tumbler, but we do want this to go all the way down. My headphones are dying. Actually, you know what? That is not solder. It looks like it's not even a resin, it's probably the concrete stuff. That's a bummer. This was a pretty pattern too. So what I'll do is I'll cut this off and cut this in half, and then we'll turn these roses into a pair of earrings. So this guy here, I'm just going to toss in there. Get our spoon. Okay, get this straight. Double check. All right, good. All right, so we are at 3.5 hours. I need a break. Stand up for a while, get something to eat. Thanks for coming and joining me for a little bit. If you guys have any questions, leave me a message in the comments. If there's something that you would like to see me create, please again let me know. And I will be doing more videos that aren't live, so I'll be doing some more editing. I like it sometimes whenever I'm able to talk with you guys, kind of answer questions that come up during the process. Whoa! Oh, I forgot there's that other one in there. So we got a nice join here. So it's flat. Done. Get this turned back on there. Still have a pile to do. And my headphones died, so that's that. I'm glad I have 3 on rotation. So I'm going to say bye, and I will see you guys soon, hopefully. Like I said, also look us up on Facebook and Instagram, Flatware Creations, 2 S's. You can always message me there. I'm always willing to help, and if I can't help, I can try and figure something out. So I do my best. So if you guys like this, give it a thumbs up. And make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified whenever I go live or I post a new video. Again, thanks you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you next time, whenever that may be. Let's get this, and